You can be completely right in an exam and still lose marks. That's the part nobody tells you. I ranked first out of 180 using this system. I went from scraping low 60s to consistent 95% plus. And I didn't suddenly become smarter. I just stopped treating exams like knowledge tests and started treating them like mark allocation systems. Most students revise content. They don't reverse engineer how marks are awarded. So they lose the same 5 to 15% every single paper and call it bad luck. Let's fix that properly. I'll show you how to diagnose where you're leaking marks, extract examiner patterns like a detective, and install answer templates plus a checking protocol that removes the last stupid losses. By the end, you'll have a system. Not motivation, a system. Let's correct the core misconception. You think exams reward intelligence. They don't. They reward structure. When I say aim for 100%, I don't mean delusion. I mean an aiming mechanism. Aim at perfect and land in the 90 to 100% band. That's how rankings happen. Examiners aren't impressed by cleverness. They're constrained by mark schemes. Your answer is a submission. If it isn't structured for credit, it doesn't matter how right you are. I saw this play out in real time. One friend was naturally brilliant at maths, barely revised past papers, could solve anything. Another student was average, no aura. She was just systematic with mark schemes. The average student outscored him by 5 to 10% almost every exam. Not because she knew more, but because she understood how marks are awarded. That shift is uncomfortable at first, because it means you can't blame intelligence anymore. Stop asking, how much do I know? And start asking, how does this examiner award marks? Because if you don't understand where your marks are leaking, you'll just work harder and stay capped. And working harder while staying capped is exhausting. Now, this is the single most important concept in this video. Before you fix performance, you must diagnose failure. Here's a proven framework I have used time and again for myself and for my own students. And this is a UKAO framework. U stands for understanding, K stands for knowledge, A stands for application, and O stands for other. Each mark that you dropped in your exam must be analysed against this framework. In fact, pick up the exam paper that you just failed and go through it with me. Did you drop this mark because you misunderstood the question, you ignored the command word, or you misread it? Was it because of knowledge? You didn't know the information because you didn't revise the content well enough? Or did you know it, but you couldn't use your knowledge under pressure? Or you were not familiar with this specific context? You struggled with application? Or was it other issues like timing, presentation, silly mistakes, or your brain was buffering after lunch at 2:17 p.m. on a random Thursday? Be honest when you categorize. I used to study 6 to 8 hours a day and sit in the 60s. I wasn't lazy. I just had no diagnostic framework. Every mistake felt the same. But once I started categorizing every mark I lost, patterns started emerging. Within a term, I was consistently in the 92 to 97% range. Same brain, different diagnosis. Take your last paper and interrogate it properly. Was it the wrong concept? Knowledge. Right concept, wrong execution? Application issue. Ignored what it was actually asking? Didn't understand the question. Dropped a sign because you rushed? Silly mistakes and other. Tally everything. Your top 2 categories of mistakes will expose exactly why you're stuck. And from that, you can build a plan. If you want it clean and structured, use a UKAO template I've built, which is linked for you in the description. It'll save you a lot of time. Now, let's look at where marks actually live, because this next part usually throws people off. Marks are finite. They don't appear because you wrote a lot. They're released in predefined ways. So stop revising chapters emotionally and start analysing mark types. Go through your specification line by line and classify each item. Is it recall, facts and definitions? Is it method, showing the working? Is it application, using it in context? Or is it explanation, linking cause and effect clearly? Once you see it like this, the paper stops feeling random and starts feeling engineered. The mistake is random revision. The correction is weighted revision. I've seen exams where 30% of the marks sit inside 2 topics most students avoid because they feel heavy. So they revise the comfortable chapters instead. That feels productive. It isn't. Turn the spec into a checklist. So you want to highlight the heavier areas and then align it with UKAO. Now we get to the real separation point. This is where top students quietly pull away. Mark schemes reward categories of correctness. Method, accuracy, quality. Most students read mark schemes once and move on. Top students study them. Run this properly. Pick one topic, pull 5 similar questions, line up the mark schemes side by side for these questions. You'll start seeing repeated phrases. Then change one word in the question. Explain why. Describe how. Students answer both the same and lose 3 to 4 marks. Explain demands mechanism and cause, whilst describe demands process and sequence. Same content, different structure, different credit. It's precise. You want to build a pattern log. Screenshot the question, paste the exact mark scheme wording, and reduce the structure into one clean line. Explain becomes claim to mechanism to link to conclusion. Evaluate becomes criteria to comparison, and then judgment aligned to the verb. If you want a shortcut, use the pattern log sheet I've made and let me know down below if it's useful for you. Now, patterns only matter if you can execute them under pressure. Once you know the pattern, you stop improvising. For calculations, run the same sequence every time. Write the givens, state the formula, substitute with units, compute carefully, sanity check the signs, and box the answer. You'd be shocked how many top students lose marks by skipping one of these steps because they felt confident. For explanations, you can make the claim, show the mechanism, link it back to the question, and close it clearly. For evaluate questions, define your criteria, compare using that criteria, and then make a judgment that directly answers the command word. I've seen 2 to 3 mark swings just from this shift alone. Same knowledge, different credit. Create these step-by-step templates for yourself and drill them until they feel boring. Boring is good. Boring is controlled. Now we stabilize retention. Structure collapses if knowledge collapses. So stop rereading. Rereading builds familiarity. Familiarity feels like competence, but it absolutely isn't. Use retrieval. These 3 methods will elevate your exam game, so make sure to pay attention to each one. Make one A4 cheat sheet. Only the failed material goes on this. Reduce it weekly. If something sits on that sheet for too long, you're avoiding it. Deal with it now. And use Anki. Review 40 to 60 cards a day in exam season. The content will be uploaded to your brain with this consistency, like magic. And last but definitely not least, do timed past papers. You want to do 5 to 7 per module under real-time pressure. No pausing to check something quickly. Pretend it's a real exam. If these don't feel slightly uncomfortable as you do them, they are not doing their job. If your retention system is the weak link, I've broken that down separately in this video, going into depth about the 3 methods I've just briefly mentioned here. Now we remove the final leaks. Top students still lose 3 to 5 marks, not because they don't know the content, but because they didn't run a protocol. Run 3 passes. The first pass, secure easy marks quickly. The second pass, attack the heavier questions properly. And the third pass is your systematic check at the end of the exam. Check maths for units, signs, numbers, check written answers against the command word, and never submit casually. You're not being careful. You are operating like someone who expects full credit. And that expectation changes how you behave. When you study to the mark scheme, you stop revising and you start collecting marks. This fixes your next exam. But if you want to operate at 90% plus across every module from day one, you need a semester system, not emergency repairs after mock results are poor. That's what I break down in the 90% plus study method nobody teaches you video. Watch that next. Then stop being the student who hopes it goes well and be the one who audits, extracts, and executes calmly, like the final boss I know that you are. Go on, click.